Salma, you ready?
Okay. Yeah.
Do you have access to squash courts, gym, during this time? If not, what are you doing to train?
So I haven't hit a squash ball for maybe more than 45 days.
Wow.
All the squash courts are closed here in Egypt, and I haven't left my home for more than 45 days. So no, I haven't played squash for a long time, and I once this after this happened, I took a little rest, and then I started working out. So I have a treadmill at home, and I made sure to take all um, take all the equipment I can get from my families, and a few stuff I took from my friends, so I can keep. So I did a little gym here in my home, and I just made sure that I kept my body active, and sweat it out, every day, and just make sure that I stay fit, because we don't know when this is gonna end, and I don't wanna, when I go back, I don't wanna have a hard time. So
What kind
yeah,
of
this is.
training you do inside the home? Like you said you have treadmill, so you do sprints, you do running?
I do, yeah, I run sometimes, and I actually, so now it's kind of my off season, so I started doing some exercises that I'm usually don't do during my season. I did some yoga. I do like different kind of exercises. I sometimes join exercise online classes with some famous trainers like Sean T or whatever, just to do something different. I not to keep myself, just do a little like something different, not to keep, it's already a boring time for everyone. So I think it's important to just do something that, keeps the motivation up, and it keeps you excited to work out and to do something new that you're not used to do it every day.
All right. Do you take days off too?
Yeah, I take maybe one day off a week, but I always try to do some kind of exercise every day, whatever it was, maybe yoga, maybe a hit like insanity workouts, tabata, running, just to sweat it out every day, and just to make sure that my body is active.
Okay, great.
So I'm not really following the program right now, but I'm just trying to, strengthen my muscles and make sure that my body is active, and just do anything that will make me excited to work out every day.
Okay. So by any chance, do you hit the ball against the wall in your house or somewhere
Yes,
around the
yes,
house?
I do that. I actually stained the wall, and my mom wasn't so happy about that. And I also make sure that there is one thing that I really make sure to do every day, that I do some swings with the band, just to make sure that my arms and my shoulders are, doing the same movement, so that I don't lose the mobility in them or the range of motion. So this is a really good thing, just to do some swings every day, just to make sure that, all the muscles are still working in your shoulders. And especially that I had an injury in my shoulder as well. So I make sure that I work on those injuries, because whenever you take a long rest, these are the first things that, tickle. So that these are the things I always make sure to keep them active and working.
Okay. What do you think is the best style of play? This question from Paul, as I call him Baul.
Okay. To be honest, I don't really think there is a style that you can say this is the best style, but I think every player just develops their own style that suits their style of play, their physicality, their abilities. But I think anyone who can actually, reach their maximum in their abilities, and whatever the way how they're playing, whatever the style they're playing, as long as they're winning or they're happy with the way they're playing, so this is a good style. You cannot really say to, like, for example, you cannot really say to Mohammed El Shorbagy to play like Rami. I think Muhammad has his own style and he's really good at it. And Rami has his own style as well and he's really good at it. So there isn't really one style that you should follow. You just need to know what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses, and just work on them. But if you want to know which player I like their way of playing, for in the men's, I really liked Shabana's way of playing. He used to show you that squash is so easy, which is really not, but he is my favorite player so far. And in the women's, I would say Raneem El Walidi.
Okay. How do you balance fitness training and squash training?
So this really depends on what is the timing. So if it's off season, it's different than on season. So off season, it's mainly we focus on the physical side. So I place my squash sessions around my physical sessions so that I make sure that I take the most out of them. But so I usually in the off season, I train two squash sessions a day and really one hard fitness session every day. But the intensity of the squash sessions really depends on the physical sessions. And then once I get closer to the tournaments, this becomes, so the squash sessions are more important than the physical sessions. And also between tournaments, I usually just do like very short physical sessions just to keep my body active and maintain my physicality, and just focus on my squash sessions more.
So you're saying off season, you focus more on fitness and you work your schedule around your fitness schedule.
Basically, off season is we do a lot of volume in the off season. So everything is just, the intensity is so high and the volume as well. So you just make sure that you build, the base that will keep you throughout the whole season. So the training in the off season is totally different than the during tournaments.
Okay, almost everyone sends this question. What's your favorite shot and why? I guess I know the answer, but you say it.
Okay, my favorite shot, I would say backhand drop shot and backhand volley flick.
Okay, and why?
And why? So I don't know. I don't know. The backhand drop shot, I think, is my favorite because
you're good.
I'm good at it, and I believe that I can put it whenever I want, and like this is a good thing. It never fails me because I practice it so much. I enjoy doing it so much. So I have confidence in this shot, and maybe that's why it is my favorite shot. And the backhand volley flick, I don't know. It works every time, and I practiced a lot, and
yeah.
Whenever I do it, when I know that I'm gonna go for it, I know that this is gonna be, self-satisfying. But you really have to practice these shots a lot so you can have this confidence in them. And then I think if you have a good shot, or a favorite shot, it means that you're gonna get it 9 times out of 10. It means that whenever you decide that you're gonna go for this shot, that it's not gonna fail you and it's gonna go. Whenever the time was in the game, whether it's a crucial time or you're leading or whatever the time, as long as you have a confidence in the shot, then it becomes, I think, your favorite shot.
Okay. What player on the World Tour is your favorite to play and why? That's Annika's question.
Favorite player, I think this is hard. I think whenever I step on court, I just want to beat the other player. But I enjoy playing with Tesni a lot because we had a lot of tough battles in the past, and I think we I wouldn't say I don't think we have similar style of play, but we always tend to push each other's to the limits, and it's always a fair game. And she's very good. She's very smart on court. She's very good in tactics and changing the tactics within the game. And I think Tesney is a one player I really enjoy playing with.
How often do you use lobs, and do you only use them for defense?
So I think in my game I use lobs quite a lot, and I don't really no, you don't use lobs only for defense. Um, I, I quite a lot of time I use lobs to win the point, because also lobs is one thing that I really enjoy playing, and I practice it so much, and I enjoy seeing the ball, pass through all this distance. It's a very tricky shot, and it's very effective because lobs, it gives you time and takes time from the other player. And this is actually what you should, in the squash game, you should be keen to always give yourself more time and take time from the other player.
When do you normally attack in the rally?
Whenever I feel that I've built, a good rally, and I've created an opportunity for myself, that's when I would make sure to build an opportunity and make sure that I put the other player in a, silly position, or that they are not suffocating in the rally, and then I would attack, because I know that they just want to, the rally to end. But also sometimes you have to attack from the beginning of the rally. I think this is the style of most of the Egyptians, and I think everyone now is, the game is getting really quickly, and whenever you get an opportunity to attack, so why not go for it?
How to improve shot selection and mental toughness?
Okay, well, this is a thing I'm still working on, so it's a really hard thing. I would say practice it a lot, solo by yourself, and I also started watching myself and the other players, and this is a good thing that helped me to know when do I make mistakes and where are the areas in the courts that I'm really good in, and I should, my strengths and my weaknesses, and make sure that if it's a strength, I'll make sure I make it better. If it's a weakness, I'll make sure that I work on it. So in terms of shots, I think just like I said, if you need to make sure that you get this shot at least 9 times out of 10. Out of 10. And by solo, by putting yourself under pressure in the practice, if you're doing a practice match, you want to go. I always when I play a practice match, I write down some things that I want to practice, for example, and that's how you put yourself in a position just like in a match, and practice those shots in those pressure times.
Okay. How are you scheduling your training around Ramadan? Since we both are fasting, and we're fast from, like, let's say 4 a.m. till 7:30 or 8 p.m. So how do you schedule? Like, how do you train around this schedule?
So in the normal days, if we didn't have Corona or anything, usually I sleep around 4 a.m. when you're about to fast, and I wake up quite a little bit late than normal days. I wake up around 1 or 2, and I do one session before eating, and then one more session after eating, breaking fasting.
You break your fasting? Okay.
It's a really good thing. I know that I think it depends on one's ability. Some people can't really train before breaking their fasting, which is, everyone is different. But for me, I see it as a kind of, mental training. But also I know that I'm okay doing it, and I don't really suffer when I train before breaking my fasting. And I also make sure that I don't do trainings that will harm my body, because you know we're always dehydrated, and we haven't eaten for a long time. So also you have to be smart when you train before breaking your fasting.
So you're doing 2 sessions when you're like during Ramadan, like before
Yeah.
before. Okay. So what's the first one? Like when you're fasting. So which session you do when you're fasting, and after you break your fasting, which one you do first? Like squash.
I would do maybe a feeding session before when I'm fasting, or some drill session with another partner. Um, and if I'm doing a physical session, maybe I would do a light gym session. And after breaking my fasting, I would do more intense sessions, like playing a practice match, or you know, an intense running session, something like this.
Okay. Have you ever lost to someone because you were overconfident? That's a good question from Neil.
That's a very good question, actually. I wouldn't say a loss because I'm overconfident, but I did this mistake quite a lot, that I would see the finish line too early. That I think that I've already gotten this player, and I'm there, the finish line. I would be already thinking about tomorrow's match, which is a terrible mistake. I'm telling you, I still fall in this mistake until this day, but I'm working on it. So yeah, I did lost a lot of matches when I match balls up, or you know, seeing the finish line too early, which is a thing that I'm still working on. Just to focus on the rally and the point, and focus on the plan, and just don't really focus about the score, or that you're about to win the match, because it really messes with your mind.
So how you deal with it? What do you think is the best way to deal with it? Like if you start thinking about tomorrow's match, and yet you're winning in the match, let's say like you're 2-love or 2-1 and 7-4 up, and you're already thinking about tomorrow's match, but you didn't finish the match yet. So what's the best way to deal with this situation?
So how I dealt with this mistake is that, to be honest, I lost quite heartbreaking losses in this way, and it comes by experience to deal with these kind of things. But I've really trained in practice to not think about, you know, when it's going to end, or whenever I play a practice match, I would make sure that I'm only focusing on executing the plan every point, and not really thinking when it's gonna end. Like for example, when I played Noor Al Tayyib in TUC this year, I was 2-1 up, and I think in the fourth game I was, I don't know, 8-2 or 9-3 up, and I was 2 points away from winning the game. And she kept coming back. I obviously thought that I have already won the match and it's over, and then she won like 5-6 points in a row, and I just, you know, reminded myself of, you know, the past mistakes, and I just told myself to stick to the plan. So the plan is 1, 2, 3, just do it. Do not think about winning the point or losing I'm about to lose the game, because it's sometimes it switches, that you're thinking, oh, I won the match, and then sometimes you're thinking, oh my God, I'm losing the match. So I just told myself to do the plan. The plan is 1, 2, 3, just do them. And this is actually what I did. I just executed the plan, and it worked.
Good. This is my question. So I have students that I keep like telling them about how important is the fitness, especially under 17, under 19. It's more physical. So can you explain like how important is the fitness, like such as ghosting, sprinting, push-ups, core exercise, body exercise? Can you explain how important it is, and how is this going to help you in the court? Like when you do like good fitness session before squash, how is this going to help you?
Yeah, I think physicality is a very important key in our sport. If you're not fit enough, you won't be able to enjoy the game, actually, because you would be feeling too tired. I always, when I go to a tournament and I know that I'm not fit, it messes with my mind. So whenever I know that I'm fit, I did all my physical sessions, I know that this will give me a confidence. And also it's one thing that really helped me that when I was training in Florida right before TUC, and we did change a little bit of my physical sessions, that we made them really challenging and made sure that whenever you play squash, it's not really only physically that only your muscles are hurting, but also your mind is hurting, everything is hurting. So that's how I train myself. I put myself in the training in those positions, in those pressure, you feel pressure just like in the match. And that's how it helped me overcome those pressure times in the match. Because whenever I'm in a match and I'm in a critical position and I feel that I'm tired, I know that I've already overcame those moments already in practice, and I've done it a lot of times. So it's not really a big deal to do it, to push for another 2 minutes or for another game, because I've already did it for an hour throughout the whole off season. So it really gives you confidence, and it really messes with the other player if they know that you're there, you're up for every shot, you just get everything back. It really gives them, it gives you confidence and takes away confidence from them. So also, if I see that if you're a player and you're free of injuries, it's a really successful thing. It's not an easy thing at all to stay healthy and injury free. Just think, like, I think this is the most difficult times to any athlete, when they're forced to stay home because they have an injury. And that's if you're fit and you focus on your physical fitness, so it really keeps you away from those tough times.
Okay, we have another good question here. What do you think the value of mental training is compared to physical or squash training? Wait, how do you read this question? What do you think the value of mental training compared to physical or squash training?
I think, well, for me personally, I think, well, I think everyone is different, but I value physical training more. Like, I would put physical training first and mental training second and squash in the third. But this can be different to another player. But I always know that if my head is in the game, even because sometimes I've won a lot of matches when I haven't been training well because of an injury or something. But if your mind is fixed and you're really up for it and you have confidence to do it, then you will find yourself winning the match. So I really think that it's so important that your mind is set for the match, and it's in the zone to go for a battle. Because I think we've all went through this, that we think that we're not fit, we have been injured, we haven't been training well, and then you find yourself winning a match just because you went there with a mindset that gives you confidence over the other player, or you just if you believe that you can do it, then you will do it. So it doesn't really, I wouldn't say it doesn't really matter if you missed your physical sessions, but I feel that setting up your mind for a battle or for training is really important.
So mentals and physicals in squash.
This is for me,
Yeah, we're in the stage.
Sometimes I would, I wouldn't feel that my physicality is not really where it should be. So I would focus more on physical sessions at a certain time. But I always feel that you can be fit and you can be training all the time, but if your mind is not there, if your mind is not fixed, then you would lose, of course. The average time for a session would be 45 minutes, but it also depends or what is the timing in terms of the season. So when we had a month and a half break right before the TUC, so obviously it was like another off season. So it was the training where was very volume. So I would say I would do a morning session with my coach, and that wouldn't be very intense. We would be just fixing some stuff, fixing movement, working on some shots. So it would just it can go along as, you know, from an hour to two, but that's not normal. The sessions wouldn't be very hard, but normally it's 45 to an hour session. And I would say if I did this long session in the morning, I wouldn't do just, you know, maybe a half an hour or an hour in the afternoon. But it really depends on where are you from away from the tournaments. During tournaments, I would just do half an hour, and sometimes just do solo. The week before the tournament, I would just do one session a day, and sometimes no physical sessions at all. So it really depends. You just have to, you know, what the program you're following, and make sure that you know, to keep your body and not fit for the goal or for the event. I don't want to, you know, be so tired when I get to the tournament. So I always, you know, take care of the volume and the intensity of my sessions throughout the year, and, you know, before approaching the tournament. The physical sessions change maybe 2 weeks or 3 weeks to the tournament. You know, we start doing faster things. You know, the sessions are shorter, but you focus on, you know, just fixing, you know, just the things you want to make sure that you're doing in the tournament, you know, like for speed, endurance, and all these things. So just a shorter version of these things when you're approaching the tournament. And a week or maybe 10 days before the tournament, I would start playing a lot of, you know, practice matches, because you also gain some physicality from playing matches. And I sometimes would see that maybe if I did a squash session, it would be, you know, it would benefit me more if I did a physical session. When I'm getting closer to the tournament, I just make sure to do what my body, you know, I would listen to my body very much when I'm getting closer to the tournament, because I also want to make sure it's fresh for the tournament, and, you know, it's up for the battles.
Okay, as a top player, what advice can you give to any squash player, just like to keep going, to keep playing and training?
I would say keep working hard and keep your eyes on the goals all the time. Never lose enthusiasm, or, you know, whenever you lose or you win, you always go back to work, whatever the situation is. Because never think that if I won this match, or if I reach this ranking, that it's going to be all sunny and rainbows. No, you're gonna have to deal with another battle. So you win or lose, you always go back to work and make sure that you improve yourself. I think if you know, try to maximize your ability to get the best version of yourself, just always work on that. And I would say you would always, you know, write down your goals, that what you want to achieve, and never lose sight of them. Because we all go through, you know, down times, but I always, whenever I'm going through a downtime, I would visualize my dream and where I want to be, and that's what keeps me going and determined to reach where I want to go. So I would say believe in yourself and keep working hard and stay determined. Of course, if you asked me this question a few years ago, I wouldn't have the same answer as now. But I make sure that of course, we all get very angry whenever we lose a match. I wouldn't say that I'll be smiling and happy after. Yeah, I am. Now I accept losing way better than before, because I always know that if I didn't win the match, then there is a thing that I will work on. And this is, now I actually see it from this side. Yeah, I would be really sad because of the loss, but also I would be very looking forward to go on court with my coach and fix what happened, or work on the weakness or the reason that I lost. I take a lot out of losses now, and I learned how to do it. I always watch my matches and know where was, you know, the points or the times that I really lost it there. So I always take it that way, that losses is, yeah, it's a bad thing, but also this is how you're gonna see where are your weaknesses. And it's, for me, it really motivates me to work better and work harder, because I know, I always tell myself, so I would go on a match, and I have, for example, I'm playing the word number 5, and if I lost, then I know that, okay, I'm not there yet. There's more work to do if I want to reach this you know, position. The better player is still better, so that means that there is still some areas to fill and still some areas to improve, and that's it really motivates me to go back on court and work on them. This is how I take my losses now.
I have another question. So I keep telling my students when they play matches to videotape their matches and check it out after they finish, because it gives them like good view watching themselves playing. So some of my students don't agree with me. Do you think this is helpful when you watch yourself playing after you finish your match?
So whenever I lose, I used to watch myself just to beat up myself. And, you know, whenever I, you know, watch myself and play a bad shot, I would say, oh my God, what a bad shot. It was totally wrong, because I'm not really, you know, gaining any benefit from watching myself, which is really wrong. And I wouldn't really, if you're, you know, pissed after losing a match, then I wouldn't really recommend that you watch your match right after. But right now, I watch it from another point of view, that I would see where were the weaknesses, what I did wrong, in what score I should have, you know, acted, you know, I should have dealt with the situation better. Because it's really when you watch yourself and for example, if I did a bad shot or a bad selection, in 9-0 or something, and if it's a really hard match that you lost, the next time you would remember that in those times or in the score you have, you know, for example, you have to stay patient and, you know, wait for the other player to make an error or build your opportunity and not to go for it and just wait for it. So it gives you, it is really helpful also to know how you're gonna put a plan for that player next time, because it's really helpful when you go out there and you would know what are you expecting from the other player. So now when I lose, I have a notebook now. I wish somebody would tell me about it, you know, 5 years ago. I have a notebook, and I have, don't say that to the other players, but I have a notebook for, I have like a file for every player, and every match I would write down what went wrong, what happened, what are their weaknesses, what are their strengths, what I did wrong, what I should have done better, what are the things that I should work on, for example, for the next tournament, and build up a plan for the next time. Because it's really important, and it's really helpful when you go out there and you would, you know, at least expect, you know, 60% or 50% from what the other players is going to do.
So it's very important to watch yourself playing, like to videotape yourself, even though you're not going to watch it right away. But in general, it's very important to watch yourself playing after the match.
For myself, I think it's a good way to know what are the things that you need to work on, and also to build plans for what are the plan for next time when you're going to play this player.
Okay. Any other questions? Let me try to find. Sure, people sent some questions here. What does a typical day look for you when you are at home in between tournaments?
At home, okay. Between tournaments, so I live in Cairo. I don't live with my family. I live in Cairo because now I train in Cairo. So I would wake up around 8 in the morning and go do my physical session or light squash session. If we're talking between tournaments, like for example, I have a tournament next week. So I'd wake up at 8 in the morning, do my breakfast, and then have my coffee. Oh my God, I can't believe I forgot that. Coffee is so important for me. And then go to my club. I live like 5 minutes away from my club, and do my gym session or my solo or a light squash session. And then I would go home, cook my lunch, eat, have a nap, wake up, have another coffee, snack, and then go for my afternoon session. And if I have time, I would chill a little bit with my friends, or do anything fun, or just get anything I need for grocery stuff or anything, and go and cook myself dinner, and then sleep.
Yeah,
Watch
that's
some
very.
sleep.
Uh,
I don't usually go out a lot during the week, because this is a good thing actually for me. I enjoy staying at home. Right now I'm not feeling bored at all, with because I'm appreciating my my time being home and with my family, because I know you guys, if you're young in age, you wouldn't be feeling how I'm feeling right now, because I didn't used to enjoy staying at home when I was young, but when you grow up, I think you would enjoy it more, because you most of the time you're just all around the place. You're not home and you're traveling all the time. So I really enjoy staying home. I wouldn't really go out with my friends during the week, because I would have to wake up the next day early to be fit and fresh for my trainings.
okay. Any more questions? Okay. Thank you so much, Salma. I'm very happy that we had you today. Thank you for doing this. And we hope we might do something else maybe next month or something. Like let's set up
Yeah, sure.
a meeting. That would be great. Thank you so much.
For
But
I had so much fun, and I hope you guys are safe and enjoying the pause time that we're spending at home. And hopefully everything is gonna go back to normal again, and we will be hitting some balls soon.
hopefully. Thank you. Stay healthy. Thank you so much. All
Yeah,
right. Thank you
have a good
guys.
night.
Thank you so much.